Hi, my name is Austin, and this is my family's road to recovery.
My name's Taylor, and this is my family's road to recovery.
My name's Kylee, and this is my family's road to recovery.
My name is Trista, and this is my family's road to recovery.
All right, what's up, everybody? Cletus T. Judd. We have let Kathy have a day off. We have sent her on her way, a well-deserved day or two off, I'm sure.
Yes.
And the executive director, otherwise known as Kathy's sister, Donna, is filling in. So we're going to let her lead the whole conversation and go.
Okay, sounds good. Let's go.
No, I'm just kidding. This is something that we've been talking about doing for a long time, and Kathy called me over the weekend and said, hey, I think this is what we finally need to do. And usually we do these podcasts where we'll sit down and we'll have one person or maybe two, and we'll let them share their story. We share our stories, and we move on. We thought this one would be great to do a round table, wherever all the kids, and I was telling Donna, I don't know all of y'all, I know most of you. But one thing I am one of you, because I come from a family of addiction. I am a recovering addict. As of just a couple of days ago, I celebrated 20 years of sobriety, which I was really happy with. Thank God I found my reason. That's what I always say. I found my reason the day my daughter was born, because I just couldn't handle the fact of her looking into my eyes or me looking into hers high as a kite, and by the grace of God, I was able to whip its ass. Unfortunately, it's not always the case for everybody, as we all know sitting here. I know some of your, we have people here that, Austin, Kathy is your mom, and I'll let you introduce everybody since you know a little bit more about them than I do, and then we'll start off with some questions, and we're just going to talk, let them share their story, and hopefully it'll affect you the way that most of these parents' story and these kids have affected ours.
Okay, and I do want to start out, September is National Recovery Month, so it's a perfect time to have you guys in here to do this. And something I want to point out too is that recovery isn't just for the person with the substance use disorder. It's a family disease, right? So recovery, every person in your family goes through recovery one way or another. So our hope is that, by you guys sharing a little bit, that we might be able to get out there to some other kids of, that's living what you guys have lived, and, your stories might be inspiring to them, or they might even want to reach out and talk to one of you guys. So hopefully we, get some interaction there, and we can help some other kids along the way.
Absolutely.
So first, like you said, we have Austin, and Austin is my sister's son. He's my nephew. And then Taylor is my daughter, so she's going to kind of go with the approach of how it affected our entire family.
Sure.
And then we've got Trista, which is Dottie's daughter. Abby is Amy Pearson's daughter. And we have Kylee, which is Michael Bowling's daughter. So
that's awesome. Well, thank y'all very much for doing it, for kind of stepping out. I'm sure it's a little bit out of your comfort zone, other than the ones that work in it. So I'll start it off by saying, and again, comment, jump in, no right or wrong answers or anything, but people ask me all the time, how did it affect me being raised with an addictive dad? And addiction runs rampant in my family. On my mother's side of the family, hell, I think everybody that was ever born became an addict eventually for some amount of time. So I always thought, that'll never happen to me. I'm gonna break that cycle. I'm gonna break that cycle. I'm gonna end that generation right here. And of course, I did not break that cycle. I fell into that cycle. And drugs was not a part of my childhood, thank goodness. Most of mine, I was affected from alcohol abuse. My dad was a raging alcoholic. My grandfather was, and people ask me all the time, how did that affect me as a kid? And I think it not only affected me as a kid I didn't understand all the terminology when I was younger. But I can tell you how it affected me as I sit here as a grown adult. I'll tell you. Anxiety ridden. You're looking at probably one of the most anxious individuals in the world. Now you can put me in front of 20,000 and I'm fine. You put me in a room full of 4 or 5 and I'll have a panic attack on you. And I went to counseling many times trying to find out where that came from. And I know where it came from, and it stemmed from being a nervous kid, you know, having a dad that was, you never knew when he was going to show up, you never knew what kind of shape he was going to be in. And, you know, even and I can remember 1,000 times, and I don't know about y'all, but as a kid or as an adult, a teenager in high school, when I would go stay at a friend's house, and we would be, you know, they'd be bunk beds or beds and 2 beds in a room. Sometimes you just had to sleep with whoever was there. But I can remember if their parents weren't there and I was there at the house, knowing that the parents were coming home, I would be filled with anxiety. They may have not even drank, not even have any part of alcohol whatsoever, but it was just the fact of knowing somebody's going to come in, I'm afraid they're going to hurt me, you know, because that's what I went through as a kid. And then as I got older, it was the same way. I could be around friends that I loved dearly, that I cherish them, but when they would start drinking, I would become afraid of them, knowing that they were not going to hurt me. But having went through that as a kid and being hurt that many times as a kid, that is the main thing that affected me, having an alcoholic father that is carried with me. I'm 59 years old, so my whole life I've always been anxiety driven because of that. And I'm just curious if anxiety, if you feel like it's ever been a part of y'all's life, from having to deal with that, never knowing what kind of shape, you know, a mom or dad was going to come home into, or what you were going to find the next day. And just curious if anybody has any introspect on that.
No, I totally think so. I think even it affects me as like a young adult today, like anxiety, depression, like the whole mental health aspect as a whole, and you just never know. It's like at that young of an age, you don't know. Unfortunately for myself, I had a good upbringing, good family that was surrounding me, but some people don't have that.
Right.
Some people don't have the reassurance, oh, well, mom, grandma, aunt, uncle, they're going to be there. And you're always wondering when the floor is going to fall off from underneath you. When's the floor going to fall off from underneath your family? Because you just never know, because you know as well as I do, Cleo, it's like it doesn't discriminate.
Oh, no, it doesn't. And that's a great way to put it. You just never know when the floor is going to fall out. You know, our floor was never stable, so it was teetering the whole time. Anybody else? Kylee, anybody?
I think anxiety definitely has affected me as a person, like even trying to go out to do things, or just worrying like if I don't have a plan or I know what's going to happen, I won't do it. If I don't know the people I'm going to walk into a room to, I won't go because I get afraid.
Oh, absolutely.
Anxiety, 100%.
How about you, Ab?
Yeah, that's my thing, is if there's no one like familiar at someplace, then I don't want to go.
Yeah, you think it stems from going through what you went through with an addicted parent?
I mean, probably, because I mean, as a kid, I was super carefree, and I didn't really, well, before I became aware of what I was going through, I was super carefree, and I didn't have like all these anxieties and all these thoughts. But when I was like 8 or 9, I was like, this like isn't normal, and then it, I guess, kind of
Snowball effect.
Yeah, snowball from there.
Yeah. How about you, girl?
I think for me, like, I was in such survival mode, it didn't hit me till I was an adult, and like, I still panic about everything, every little thing, every big thing. It's like, I'm in a constant state of worry. And it didn't hit me because I was surviving, and then as an adult, when I was stable, taking care of myself, it was like, whoa, all of this is hitting me now.
How old were you when you found out your mom was?
I was probably 7 or 8.
Okay.
And I knew what was happening, but I just had to take care of my brother. I had to make sure he was good, so that it was just survival. That was it.
How old was your brother?
He's only a year younger than me, but you'd think he was like 10 years younger than me. I'm his mother.
So you were having to play both roles,
Yes.
huh? Didn't have much time to be a kid, did you?
And then I had a kid while I was still a kid. So it was
Yeah. And so now that you're old, how old are you now?
I'm about to be 34, haven't
So, man, that's, you never really got to experience a whole lot of,
No.
grew up too fast, huh?
Absolutely, way too fast.
How about you, girl?
I know me and Austin, you never knew like what Aunt Cat you were gonna get that day. You didn't know if it was gonna be the good Aunt Cat and she was gonna take you all these nice places, like we went swimming all the time and did all kinds of fun things, or if it was the Aunt Cat that you were gonna go on a drug deal with, like you didn't know. And I remember, there was times we knew there were like, we didn't really know to the extent of everything because we were young too. How old were we?
About 9 years old.
Yeah. We didn't really know exactly what was going on, but we knew something was up. Like we heard our family talking about it, and we thought she killed someone. Like
Yeah.
seriously, we thought something. Yeah. So it's just even now today, I'm like, if this person can have this many years sober and relapse, like that's like Aunt Cat can too. Like,
Oh, absolutely.
I have really bad anxiety about that still, and just worrying about everything. Even like medical procedures that I have, like I am terrified to take pain medication because she took it.
You know, you were talking about you never knew if, when they would relapse, and with my dad, it was a matter of, I knew it was gonna happen, so I had to live with the anxiety of all the time of wondering when it was gonna happen, because it was just a matter of time.
Right.
I mean, I can remember him writing me letters from being in rehab down in Millersville, Georgia, saying, son, I'm coming home this time. I'm sorry, I put you through a mortal hell, and I'm gonna be better, it's over, I finally figured out the issues, and I'm coming home, and I'm reading this letter, and telling all my buddies, and my mom, he's done, it's over. I can hear it in his voice, I can hear it in his letter. And then opening up the refrigerator at my grandfather's house, and beer everywhere. And man, you talking about just heartbreaking. I mean, you're just crushed by seeing that. When you put so much hope in them, and then they just constantly let you down. And then it got to the point where, and this is one question I wanted to ask you, being let down that many times, you forgive, but you can't forget. I mean, it's impossible. We just can't. We're all scarred children, But I built up an enormous amount of hate. And I'm just curious, if y'all felt the same way with your parents, with your aunt, and so forth. But I literally went through years of where I hated it with a passion because of what I went through as a kid.
Yeah, like I totally agree. Like there'd be days like, my dad's encouraging me. Fortunately, my dad was there very supportive, and he would want me to write mom in prison. And there was days I'd be sitting there 10, 11 years old, frustrated, for one, not knowing what to write, for two, not wanting to write because, for one, I don't know all the information. Or I was just so angry that she wasn't there, I didn't even want to talk to her. At a young age, it took me a long time to be able to see, she's trying to do better, this is what's going on. And unfortunately, I had to grow up really fast, but I wasn't processing it fast enough to be able to talk
Well, you
about
can't.
it.
I don't think a 9-year-old has the mentality to process that.
Well, no, they knew, these two, our family gathered in, we supported Kat when she got arrested, went to prison and all that, so these two would take turns, like every other week, they were going to Marysville prison. So it was like, and you guys probably all had very similar, situations to where you're like, it became normal to us, like we had restaurants you stopped at on the way back, you knew
Like
what.
family vacation.
It was.
I have some good memories of
Yeah,
seeing that, but
She didn't know any better.
No.
We didn't know, but that's when they thought she had killed somebody, because they thought we were going, she went to prison because she killed somebody, I'm like, no.
I feel like we were so young, like they wanted to keep a lot of things from us, but maybe it would have benefited if it was like maybe a little bit more.
Well, like even
forthcoming at first.
when when I'm doing the group setting and stuff with the group that we have here, I explained to them, and they asked my opinion on this. I'm like, listen, you have to be upfront and honest with these kids. Like if you're fortunate enough to have these kids in your life and you're fortunate enough to have this communication, and if they ask questions, regardless of whatever it is, be honest with them. Don't lie to them. Because they know. They're smarter than what you think.
Oh, absolutely. How about you, Trista?
I agree with telling the kids. Growing up, I knew everything that was happening. I mean, the drug raids in the house, everything. But my kids didn't know that life. So, like, in the beginning, we would say she was in school or something. We made up some lie. But towards the end, I kind of told them the truth because that was a lot straw for me. Before she got clean this time, that was the first time I was mad at her. And I set a boundary and I told her, you won't be around my kids. I can't allow them to see the things I saw growing up. And she was so bad. And it hurt me to do that to her, but I had to, or my kids were gonna grow up and see the same things I saw. And I wasn't gonna allow that.
Absolutely, you have to have those boundaries.
How about you,
About what specific part?
Well, just, you know, maybe the resentment, you know, that is formed when you watch a parent, you know, go through all they went through, you know, how do you find the love when, you know, I just had so much hate. Love was not a part of the equation at that point. I'd just been through so much. I didn't give a damn no more, you know. If he died at that time, I would have, I say that then, that's how I felt then. Of course, not as I got older and understood it, but as a kid, man, you're like, I told my mom, I said, you either leave or I'm running away, you'll never see me again. That's the kind of resentment I had built up.
I think as a kid, I knew that I wasn't supposed to hate my parents. Like I was supposed to love them. So I don't think I ever really hated them for anything, because I knew, like, these are my parents, these are people that I have to depend on, these are people I have to trust, these are people I have to love, even, like, no matter what happened. And especially as a kid, I tried to, I guess, block out most of the bad. Like, even thinking now, like, I know the stuff that happened, but I don't think I could specifically go into detail. But, like, all of the good memories, like, especially with my other family, like my papa and my mama would take us places.
Right.
So I think, like, those kind of outweighed the hatred that I had, probably.
That's awesome.
So.
How about you, Kyle?
I was like 7 years old the first time I told my mom I hated her, and the last time I ever told her that. I told her, we got in an argument over something. I was young and probably school, whatever it was. Well, I stayed with one of her friends that night, and my mom told me she'd be back in the morning. She went over there and she woke me up for a shower, and I remember getting out of the shower and I seen my mom laying there, and I told her I hope she died that night before, because I told her I hated her, and she did. She overdosed, and I mean, at 7 years old, I didn't know what to do. I fight or flight, and I just took off, and I ran downstairs and just banged on the door of these people's house, and I just started calling 911, and I knew where we lived and everything like that. So they got there within a couple minutes or whatever, what felt like forever, though. It felt like, you know, forever. And, yeah, just seeing my mom lifeless, being there, and, like, telling her I hated her. So always be careful with that word, because, you know, you don't...
But you know, at that age, it's justifiable, I think. You know, I mean, hell, what are you supposed to feel?
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to find, you know, love in your heart. I mean, we all know we're supposed to love our parents, and we all do. I mean, I love mine dearly now, but as a 9, 10, 11-year-old boy, you know, and you, all you guys as young as you were, you have no right but to feel that way, because that's who we depend on. That's our lifeline. You know, that's really all we have at that age. You know, and no kid should have to endure that kind of pain. You know, I never saw drugs or anything like that with my parents, other than alcohol, but I can't fathom what some of you guys went through with that.
At 7, did you know that it was an overdose, or did you just think you didn't already know at that point?
I knew, I looked, for some reason, my mom, she was uncovered, she was just laying on the couch. For some reason, I looked at her feet and they were blue. So I looked at her lips and that was blue. And I tapped on her trying to wake her up, and she just wasn't budging. So I just took off. Like, I just remember, like, I can remember it so well, but I just remember feeling like nothing almost. Like, I didn't feel anything. Like, I was just
numb.
Like, I didn't know. I didn't know if I was going to get my mom back. But I remember telling her that I was moving out. I was done. I was not talking to her no more. I don't, you know, because I begged her. I used to sleep with my hand on her chest to make sure she was still breathing after the overdose. Yeah, so anxiety is, when you got on that subject, I'm terrified to even walk in on my mom sleeping, to find her laying there lifeless again.
So let's go back to a little bit of anxiety, because you guys probably know this, but with a parent that has a substance use disorder, you are 50% more likely to also have a substance use disorder. So does anxiety ever bother you with that? Like Taylor said that she's afraid to even take pain medication after a surgery or for procedure or something. Like, even as, you know, you can see other people going out and doing whatever, and do you ever just wonder, like, oh my gosh, that could, like, if I have 2 beers, I might, like, if alcoholism runs in my family.
I might like 4.
Exactly. So do you guys worry about that, about the, you know, just like he said, the generational curse?
Most of the time, you have to beg me to take ibuprofen if I have a headache. Like, it has to be so bad.
That's not a
I'm
bad
like,
problem.
No, I'm not taking no medicine, because I don't want to always have. So, like, say I'm, like, my head's hurting, whatever, I don't want to always be able to run to something to fix it, because I feel like that's what my mom did. She had one minor inconvenience, and she ran to something that numbed it. I don't want that. I want to build where I can get past this, drink a cup of water instead, or,
Right.
not always medicine or alcohol or whatever else.
I think that kind of led me to my next question, what Don was saying. For all of you, I know for me that having seen that, knowing what the odds are, I mean, I knew that it ran rapid in my family, but I always said, oh, it never happened to me. Well, it did. But having seen what all you guys saw, either through your parents, an aunt, a relative, or whatever, does it make you want to make sure that whatever steps you have to take to not go down that path, to break that generational curse? Because it can be done. I mean, it can. I always say there is a 100% way to not become an addict. There is a guaranteed way, and I'll fight anybody over it. The 100% way to never become an addict is never do it to start with.
Mm-hmm.
If you never do it to start with, you never know what it's like. You never know what you're missing. You never know the feeling. The first time I did meth, I thought, okay, I'm done. This is all I've been looking for right here. I finally found it. 24 years old, this is what I've been looking for. If I'd have never done it, I'd never know what it was like. So that's the way I say there is a 100% cure rate to not become an addict, is never do it to start with. And that's why I think it starts with young people. If you can reach them early and reach out to them and give them some direction and hope and love, that you can keep them from going down the same path that we all went down, or that our parents went down. So just curious, does that make you not want to do it for sure?
Oh, I absolutely will never try anything. I won't even, like, I can remember being at parties in high school, everybody's passing the plate around, and I'm like, I'm good, I don't want to be like Mom. I'm not even going to try this. I have drank, but it's not like an excessive amount. But even when I have my kids, I wouldn't take any pain medication after. The one time I did, they prescribed them to me. I called my mom, coming in and taking them while I was asleep. So, like, I just don't even, when they offer it, I'm like, I'm good, I don't want that. I'll figure it out. Take ibuprofen, something, I'll figure it out, walk it off. But I'm not even gonna try it.
That's one thing I learned too, is, and I think Don and I had this conversation, I think, not everybody is an addict. And I had to learn that. Not everybody that drinks 2 or 3 margaritas at Texas Roadhouse is an addict. But I look at it that way. Especially like when I first started dating my wife, Amanda, and she would say, well, let's go have a margarita at dinner. So I'm thinking, oh God, here we go again. I got hooked up with an alcoholic. Knowing damn good and well that woman ain't no alcoholic. And you can't treat people that way either, because it's not fair to those that don't suffer from, like alcohol. I care less. I go drink a beer today. Wouldn't care if I ever drank another one in my life. That just didn't affect me. Meth, cocaine, I'm out. I can't be a part of that, because I'd go right back down that rabbit hole. But I have to, and I think all of us have to learn that not everybody's an addict. That not everybody is going to hurt us, and that has always been my biggest fear, is somebody's going to hurt. I've never, and I don't know about y'all, and you can answer this. I can't tell you 100% that I've ever been able to love anything other than my daughter. I found a way to navigate that, but as far as, because I was always afraid to love, because I didn't want to get taken away from me. Because, Dad come home, all good, gone. You know, he told me one time on Thanksgiving, he said, I'll be home day before Thanksgiving. This was the day before, and I saw him 3 years later. You know, so it's like, I don't want to pour my heart out because if I love Donna, I know what she's going to do. She's going to leave me. And that's so unfair to me as a person. It's so unfair to y'all. You know, you should be able to love and not have to worry about heartbreak and heartache and being hurt. And that's probably one thing that's affected me more than anything as an adult and as a kid as well.
No, I can totally identify with that. I mean, I feel like even in like romantic relationships or friendships or whatever, like it's affected me still to this day. Like, you know, well, you're just gonna leave, and you know, still some of the childhood traumas come out.
Yeah.
And it's
So unfair.
You know, even at my age, it still affects me, and I'm still learning to get over that. You know, I've forgiven, and everything's been fantastic, but there's still scar marks. There's still pieces that are scattered.
I don't think, and y'all tell me, I think you, like I said, you can forgive after what you've been through. How you gonna forget?
Never will.
No. How you gonna forget? How you gonna forget? You can't. How you forget watching your mom go to prison? You can't forget that. You know, that's difficult. Hell, it's all difficult. It's just difficult. And mental health is, I know it's more prevalent now than it's ever been, thank God, you know, for sure. But, I mean, suicide rates are astronomical. Drug addiction in kids are astronomical. But it's just, it's hard to forget. And I will never forget, you know. And I don't think y'all will either, but it sure is good to be able to love. And I always say kids have forgiving hearts. The damn parents gotta prove something sometimes. You know, that they do. They owe us kids, they owe us something in life. Go out.
So, you know, one thing that we talk about a lot are coping skills in mental health and SUD. So as you guys were kids or young adults or even now, like what are some things that kind of helped you cope with parents and addiction?
I was, like I said earlier, I was fortunate enough to have people in my life, and I was able to go talk to them, and I was honest about my feelings, and they were really honest with me. They were really honest with what was going on after, you know, everything had settled down, everything had really calmed down, and I was really able to talk and be able to, you know, be honest with them. I was able to be honest with them, but also myself, of, you know, the reality of the situation.
I think I would write to her all the time. She would write to us too, and I had Austin. I mean, he was like, we're cousins, but he was basically my brother. We were together all the time. And he stayed at Nana's house a lot too. And we would always be there together, and we talked a lot about it, whether they knew it or not, but we had conversations and just talked about it to each other, so I think that
Helped you get through it?
Yeah.
How about you?
I didn't even cope with it at all, honestly. I just had to figure out how we were gonna get our next meal, how I was gonna make sure my brother got to school. In the outside world, I knew what was going on the inside. I cheered, I played basketball, I did all of these things that mostly drug dealers funded. And when my mom was in jail or prison or rehab or whatever, no one knew any of this was happening behind the scenes because I had to cover this up. I couldn't let anyone find this out. So, and the same for my brother, we were talking about it the other day. He's like, everybody just thought it was like this big job and no one knew what was happening. No one knew. My best friend was the only person who knew what was really going on. CPS should have been involved.
Right.
But they never were because I made sure that these things happened so no one knew what was happening. And I didn't even process any of it until I was an adult.
I think a lot, because I mean, I didn't know what coping was whenever I was like 5 years old.
Yeah.
But, like, as a kid, pretty much every single weekend, Saturday and Sunday, I was at my Papaw's house every single weekend without fail. Because, I mean, it was so different.
Yeah. Safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going from, like, this
Chaos.
violent, chaotic house to, like, it's just my grandma, my papa, and then, like, they got a dog. No,
Yeah.
It was, like, kind of what it was like almost like a nuclear family type setup. It was like the picture perfect American family that I wanted to be in.
Were you able to adjust to that when you would go there, coming from where you were at? I had a hard time with it because it was too normal for me. I wasn't
Yeah, I
used to that.
think I knew what was supposed to be normal, because like my friends at school and stuff, and like watching TV shows and movies. So I knew what was supposed to be normal. So whenever I was there, I was like, "Yep, this is what I want. This is what it should be." But then I would go back like Sunday night, and it was.
Did you have anxiety doing that?
Yeah, I remember. The first time my papaw took me to the beach, I was like five or something, and it was the last day, and so we went out onto the beach. It was like 6 at night. The sun was setting, and I looked at him and I said, "I don't want to go back." So yeah.
All right. You good now, ain't you? How about you, girl?
My coping skills were partying. I turned directly to like my mom. I wanted her to hang out with me, so I started doing the stuff that she was doing. So I started drinking and smoking weed. I would go to parties. I remember calling her one day, and I was like, I smoke weed now, so like, will you come hang out with me? And I'm pretty sure that's when you got clean. So now I feel like it's me and my mom together. It's not just her. So she's not alone in this, even if we struggle, it's not just her. It's me and her, and it always will be that way.
And we all remember the day that you called and told your mom that, because she had to deal with that.
She told me that story in the office.
Yes.
So, yeah, I dropped everything, and so did she. So it'll always be us together forever.
So if you guys had, and this is a question Clea specifically had underlined, like, again, hoping that, your message can get out to others, other families or whatever, but if you had some words of encouragement or advice or anything to tell someone else that might be that 7, 8, 9-year-old or the 20, 30-something adult that's still trying to deal with these, feelings from their childhood, what would you guys tell them?
Never give up.
Never give up, yeah.
Never give
Never.
up. Because, I've seen it from all age groups. People in their 50s and 60s, they're in places like this getting clean today. Yeah, they may burn those bridges, they may do the most unthinkable things ever in life, but somebody didn't give up on my mom. I don't want somebody, I just never give up. Because
Say that about you.
I think you just don't a lot of times realize what people are going through, so it's really easy from the outside looking in to kind of judge and stereotype people and say even I know Austin had some problems at school, even from kids his age, kind of making fun of him, giving him a hard time, and they had no idea what he was dealing with at home and what we were dealing with. So I think just be cautious about what you're saying, because I watched him have to go through that too. And I think whenever people say things like those people and stereotype people, like, I don't see a drug addict. I see like my cat, and I see Austin and me and my family, and I think it's important to remember that.
Yeah.
I think talking about it, honestly, I didn't talk about it for years. I was silent. I just wanted to get through it, and now it's affecting me severely. And talking about it and even telling my mom some of the things she's done, it's helped our relationship, because I know through all of that she loved me unconditionally.
Absolutely.
But it was hard to have to take on all the things that I didn't take on, and I didn't talk about it until I was an adult. And it affects me in every relationship. It's hard.
Absolutely, it's hard. Unfair. That's what it is. How about you, girl?
I would say probably like find something like you love doing, as like not necessarily a distraction, but as a gateway. I get as a distraction, but like for me, that was like going to school.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't at home, and it was something to do, something that kept me distracted all day.
Keeps your mind off of it.
Yeah. So yeah, something to just not just completely wash away the issue, because it has to be addressed either way.
Right.
But to use it in the meantime as a distraction.
Gotcha. Well said. How about you?
Never give up, but I also think like baby steps. No matter how far, how deep you are, how messed up, how wrong your life is, if you just take one step a day to better it, it'll get to where you want it, no matter how long it takes. I mean, my mom didn't think that she'd be where she is today, but she took that one step every single day, and it's let her, I mean, she's happy. She's happy where she's at, and, I mean, we do things that we never thought I never thought me and my mom would ever be so close, or that I would even live with my mom.
Right.
But we share a great relationship now, and she never gave up on me, and I'll never give up on her. So.
I'll tell you a quick story, and then we'll end it. And I just finished a book a few weeks ago. Kathy kind of knows the story or whatever, but talking about finding ways to share with other people. Nobody in the world could have the hatred. I shouldn't say nobody in the world, because most of y'all had probably the same amount of hatred I did towards my dad as you had towards your mom and aunt. So it's just inevitable that happens when they hurt us. And I hated my dad. Can't on a scale of 1 to 10, ain't even good enough. Went through my whole life, with that hatred, and I got a call down. I was living in Tampa, Florida. I hadn't talked to him in about 3 years, and this was 7 or 8 years ago. And he had cancer, and my mom called and told me, and so I called my dad, and he answered the phone. And I said, "Why didn't you call and tell me?" And he said, "Because you probably wouldn't have answered anyway." And I said, "Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come home, and I'm going to take care of you." And I packed all my stuff in a car, and I went to take care of a man that didn't take care of me. For 6 months, I lived in his basement. Took care of him every day. It was the biggest honor that I had as an adult to have been able to take care of him. And in closing, one night around 7 o'clock, I heard a rumbling upstairs, the hallway, and I ran up to see if he was all right. Nobody was home but me and him. They already took my stepmom out of the house. I was walking down this hallway like our hallways here. My dad's bedroom's in the back. There was a light on, it was dim, and I was walking down the hallway, and my dad came out of the bedroom and had a gun in his hand. And I thought, okay, there's 3 things can happen here. He's going to kill me, he's going to kill himself, or he's going to kill both of us. And I said, "Dad, why do you have that gun in your hand?" And he said, "You know why I have this gun in my hand." I said, No, I don't." I said, "But you should give me the gun." And he said, "No." And he cocked the trigger. So I was prepared to go. I just thought, well, it's 40, 50 years of all this is built up, and he's just going to put an end to it. And he said, never forget long to live, it's in the book, he said, "I had to watch my mother die of cancer as a young man." He said, "As a grown man, I had to watch my daddy, your granddaddy, my granddaddy, die of cancer." And he said, "Now it's your turn to have to watch me die of cancer." And he said, "I have suffered all my life." He said, "I don't want to suffer anymore." And he raised the gun up, and I thought, okay, he's going to kill him. He said, "Shoot me." And I said, "No, I'm not going to shoot you." And he said, "Well, if you won't shoot me, will you do me a favor?" said, yes, sir, whatever. He said, would you sit down at the table with me? And I said, yeah, I'll sit at the table. It was the first time in 50 years I'd ever sat at a dinner table with my dad. He said, I got one last favor to ask you. I said, ask me. He said, will you forgive me? It was the easiest thing to do. Man, I would have never thought in a million years that I could say, all is forgiven. And it was so easy. It was just like all the hatred and all the fighting and all the turmoil, all I ever wanted my whole life was just to hear that man say, I'm sorry. I really am sorry. Will you forgive me? And I was so proud of me. That's what the point I was trying to make. If I ever had to tell anybody, just like you guys gave advice, there's so much power in forgiveness. You know, to be able to look at something that you hate, that you despise, that's hurt you, that's hurt us as kids, to be able to go, yeah, I forgive you, and mean it. You know, and I felt the weight of the world come off my shoulders. And my dad cried the first time I'd ever saw him cry in my entire life. And I cried with him, and he reached in his pocket and he pulled out a $100 bill, and he said, go get us a steak and bring me back a Budweiser. And I went and got steaks, and I got him a Budweiser, and I don't know what I got. And I sat at that table and I ate with my dad for the first time in my entire life. And he died a couple of weeks later. But what a gift. Man, what a gift I was able to get is that forgiveness. So if we can find in our hearts to forgive those that hurt us, then we become the better person. You know, then we can go out and help others. And it means the world to me that y'all do this, that you will do it. You'll see that it'll help you. You'll walk out of here with a little better posture, knowing that maybe somebody that will watch this will go, hey, if Kylee can do it, she can go through immortal hell. Dottie's kid can do it. Kathy, everybody can go through what they went through. I can make it. I can survive. And I know Kathy Ross. I know Dottie. I know Michael. I don't know your mom. I sit in that office up there in that hallway, and they come in the mornings and they tell me these stories. And to see the transformation is thanks to people like Kathy and yourself to open these doors up and give people help like that, allows those people like Dottie and Michael and everybody to be better parents to you guys. And for that, I'm thankful. And I'm thankful for y'all doing this. I sure do appreciate it. Thank you. Anything in closing?
Just, you know, if we do have other kids or, you know, like I said, adults or anything, like, and if anybody would like to reach out to any of you guys, I mean, they could contact us on our Facebook page or on your Facebook page, and we would love to get them into contact because, you know, stories that you guys all share, they're all different. Like, we were very open about, you know, Kat's addiction, our family struggles. Meanwhile, you had to keep it all secret because you were trying to still make everything work in the background. You guys had grandparents, you had your dad, like, some people don't have anybody. So if there is somebody out there, like, you just want to talk to one of these kids or talk to one of us, please do reach out to us. Like, we will gladly just, you know, help with whatever we can. If you are, you know, one of those kids that, just like you, 7 years old, I would have loved to have gone back to teach 7-year-old Kylee how to give Narcan to your mom. You know what I mean? Like, so just anything like that, anything we can help with, and even to you five. Like, sometimes, like, bringing up these, you know, old memories or, you know, feelings and things like that, that's hard stuff to sometimes bring up and talk to. Please, my door is open all the time. Come talk to me. Let's talk about it.
Don't call me after 9.
He's in bed by this bedtime now, but no. So, no, for real though, like, we're always here. You know, to you five, to anybody watching. Like,
Absolutely.
let us help, because that's what we're here for.
All right, thank y'all so much. Y'all are awesome.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you guys later. See you later. All right, y'all go sign autographs now.